guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I mentioned in my July plan with me that I was going to do a separate video for my Q3 plan with me and also to do kind of a Q2 reflection. And here's that video. So you guys will see I have my Projo. So I actually have since switched over to a Deluxe Projo, which is in this recycled leather cover, which is fantastic because I just love it. It's super, super nice. And I've also grabbed a P-book. So when I actually got the Deluxe cover, it came with both a P-book and an M-book on the inside. But because I got it while I was still in Q2, I just took them out and put them on my bookshelf and went back to using the books I had been using. So I've actually got an extra P-book that I'm going to use to start setting up Q3. So first off, let's take a look at Q2. So Q2, we are in here. You guys will see that I've got my table of contents all the way done up, and I actually recently stuck in the stickers that came in the latest Projo Plus, so the spring vibes, which was for Q2. So I just kind of stuck those in there as little like inspiration and what have you. So I have my vision board. I do have my updated 2019 vision board, and what I will probably end up doing is what I did the last time, where I will go ahead and fill in my Q3 vision board, but maybe won't fill in the updated 2019 one until a little bit later. So we'll see how that goes. So you guys can see here, I've actually started doing scanning and chucking paper and setting up my teacher bullet journal. And then over on the Q2 side, I prepped my videos, so I got them scanned in, put through Photoshop and like adjusted, and then I've got them in Illustrator, so I've got one line through Illustrator. I've started working on that. Actually I can do this. I finally finished level 2 in Talk to Me in Korean, and I've started level 3, so that's good. I did decide if I was going to go to Korea, and because I decided I was going to go, I booked my flight and my hotel, so that is all finished. I did a sort of premiere. I hung out in the comment section for about an hour after one video, but I haven't done a real premiere yet or a live stream, and honestly, these two are probably not going to be happening soon, so I might end up taking them off for right now and have them be like a future goal. Just too much going on. Let's see, I've actually been working on this. So I did save, and I haven't quite done investing. I booked my trip to the US for the summer. I'm actually working on my summer schedule. This did not happen at all, so going out for drinks and doing dinner parties, it just got really busy at the end of the school year, so I haven't done that yet. And setting up Prof Bujo. So I did start sorting and chucking papers, but I'm not quite finished. So you can see that with a lot of my Q2 stuff I've started, but some of these are sort of year-long projects, and so I've maybe not finished 100%. So that we will definitely be dealing with. My goals roadmap, I have started doing a bunch of stuff on here. Sewing, I've actually made some pretty good headway. Social media, I'm kind of working on. So I started planning 2020 videos. Yeah, it's actually been going pretty well. Summer plans, I'm working on that. So I sort of have been doing a language plan. I've started doing Duolingo again for Italian. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do another mini trip this summer, or if I'm just going to go to the US. I have started setting up my Prof Bujo, and font we're working on. Honestly, it hasn't been going as well as I would have liked lately. I need a little bit of a break. Let's see, so my projects timeline, didn't even use, probably not going to use it in Q3, I don't know, it's not really the way that I plan out things, so maybe that'll change in the future, but not right yet. Then I've got all my weeklies, which if you guys have seen, I've got all my monthlies, which is if you guys have seen my plan with me's for these months, you will have seen a little bit of setup, but here you can see them all completely filled out. So going pretty well. There we go, and then we're up to June. So I have a couple more days before the end of the month, which is why I wanted to go ahead and start setting up Q3 so I could start planning the first week in July. But I've been making some pretty decent headway on certain things. I've got other things that I've definitely got to work on. I have been working on sewing and filming. I actually just I'm currently filming my Q3 plan with me. I started filming my Prof Bujo plan with me. I did film this reflection, and I also filmed how I am prepping. So as you guys can see, doing pretty well with the filming. I obviously am going to wait and do my monthly reflection once the end of the month actually happens. Then we go into weekly. So this has been going, again, pretty well. I have started doing sort of my main goals for the week over here. So there's a lot of migration. There are certain things that just took way longer than they should have to get done. But overall, I think I am by and large more productive than I used to be before I started using this kind of a setup to help me sort of focus my energies. So there we go. Let's see. We're getting into mid-June over here. And we've got this week. So as you can see, I have a couple of things that I've done in that I know are going to happen, and I will be filling out the rest of this. I am still using Google Calendar, so I will fill out the rest of this later. Usually kind of midweek, I go back and do the front half of the week, and the end of the week, I do the rest. So I am working on this stuff. So I actually have filmed 2 videos, which is fantastic. There we go. So I'll finish updating some of this stuff later. But yeah, so this has been going really well. And I actually, because I had not yet set up my quarter 3, I did go ahead and set up next week, but as you can see, I haven't really filled anything in yet, and I will not at this point because I'm going to be setting up quarter 3, and I can just go ahead and do that weekly directly in there. So I do have 1 more weekly left and a couple of blank pages in the back here. I never really seem to use these just because I like having as much information on the weekly, just because I can have it open to that page and I see everything that I need. The other moving part in here is my M-book, and because this is the end of quarter 2 and I've been using the same M-book since January, I thought I would go ahead and do another little flip through for you guys so you can kind of see what's going on. So in here, I do use my index. As you guys can see, I'm actually getting down to the end there. I have to update a couple more things, but for now it's okay. So I have my 2020 possible goals, and the first of my top 5 goals for 2020 I've already started working on. I've got some font making stuff, KonMari stuff. This is actually probably something I don't need to deal with anymore. YouTube and website stuff. You can see I've got a couple things that I've been working on, other things I need to work on a little more. I probably need to update this, honestly. Wish list, possible projects, school holidays, so planning where I want to go, if I want to go somewhere for different holidays, so I can start planning in advance for that. I've also got a little list of some places that I would like to go, but not necessarily when I want to go. This was my morning routine, morning routine stuff, updating addresses from when I moved, some notes on possible investing things, March, pre-planning. This was for in my bedroom, quarter 2 ideas. So as you can see, I do check off at the bottom of the page when I'm done. So this was done for this most recent P-book. Got some goals and projects to work on, some more font stuff, teacher Bujo for 2019-2020, which I'm starting to work on. April, pre-planning, spending ban information, no processed foods, some self-care ideas, so places to go, possibly with my mom, places to go in my town. I'd like to do a trip to Amsterdam at some point, so I started doing a little bit of research, and then I got sidetracked actually planning. Whoops, it's not here. Well, I got sidetracked by sewing, but I also got sidetracked planning for Korea. So I need to work on that. This was my initial sewing research. This is some sewing projects. You can see I've actually done a fair number of them. This was for May. This is stuff I want to work on with my website. This was Korea planning. So I got sidetracked from Amsterdam working on Korea. Need to still work on the research side of this a little bit more. More sewing projects. This was some little projects and stuff I want to do in my apartment. And are there, yeah, honestly haven't done a ton of those. This is for the bite-sized budget. That was kind of planning some episode ideas that'll be coming up. June pre-planning. This is for my Italian immersion. So this is actually one of my top 5 goals for 2020, but I wanted to go ahead and set my budget in YNAB so I could start working towards it. So I did just enough research so I could do that. This is a font workflow table and a font tracking table. Got to actually get working on those. More sewing projects, and I get a little cheeky when I make my things because I'm like, it's boring just writing sewing projects like a million times. So even more sewing projects and still with the sewing. So got working on those. Even have 2 of them done. Then I have my quarter 3 ideas, which we're gonna come back to in a second. I've got K-dramas and TV shows. They were on my mind, and so I finally just wrote them down, even if I never actually do anything with them. I just wanted to get them on paper at some point. July pre-planning, which we are currently working on quarter 3. This was actually for my summer schedule. Actually, you know what? We're gonna stop that right there. I'm gonna do a different video on my summer schedule. So anyway, moving on. So I have this idea that I want to work on a wardrobe inventory, so I've got some notes on that. I also took some notes on doing a capsule wardrobe because that might be a fun project to play around with. Then I've got some pages for prep, so for lesson prep. So I've got my different levels, so I want to kind of see how far in the prep I am, and then general setup, so grade books and my bullet journal. And then I've got in each level, I've got that I want to do a syllabus, I want to set up Flipgrid, I want to pre-set up assignments, and I want to then, once I get the class list, I need to make their flip codes. And then I usually get between 6 or 7 units in Senkyem. So I want to plan out what units I want to do, and you guys can actually see for Quatrième, I have more information because I've actually started working on this one. So for example, I've started on the syllabus, I've prepped all the assignments already. We've planned out which of the 4 units. So when it's a Euro class, we only have 2 hours a week, so we get through far fewer units than I do with other classes, just time. So for each unit, I want to have my in-class PowerPoint prepped, and I want to know what we're doing for the tâche finale, for the final task, and hopefully have like the information paper ready to go. Now, this is a really big goal. There is probably no way that I'm going to get all of my units all year for all classes done, but I would at least like to get the first unit or 2 for all classes done, and maybe have 1 or 2 classes where I've got a majority of the units done and ready to go, just because that'll make my life a lot easier come September. So I've got a page per level. And then that's the end. So I actually am at page 56, and there are 61 pages. So I initially was going to actually move into a new end book as part of this video, but because I have a couple more pages left, and because I just set up these and I'm not done with this yet, I'm actually gonna go ahead and keep this end book for now, and I'll switch over when it's time. So let's go ahead and do my setup in here. So hold on a second, why did I do that? I was like holding that page forever, and then I just was like, nope, we're not doing that anymore. Anyway, let's do this. So this was my brainstorming page for my quarter 3 goals. So it's quarter 3 is from July to September, and I've got my main headers. So I've got Font Korea 7,000, so my savings goal, 50K on YouTube, work, summer, and sewing. And these are going to eventually become the mind map, and then I'll break them down into my key projects. So I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and time lapse you guys, and then I will come back at the end and show you how things went. so that is what I'm gonna set up for right now, at least. Obviously, I'm not quite completely finished, but I do still have the rest of this week in quarter 2, and so I want to just see if there's some things that I can get done that I have been putting off. If not, they'll end up going over here. So let's take a look. I did just do a quick little intro here, but I'm gonna wait and do my table of contents later. I always do this. It's a pretty structured notebook, so I do eventually fill in the index, but it's really just for archive purposes, so it's not really necessary for me to do it immediately. So that is still all blank. I am gonna wait and fill in my updated 2019 mind map a little bit later, but I thought I would go ahead and show you guys how I set up for quarter 3. So quarter 3, I've got July through September 2019, and I just did Q3 in the middle there. So let's start kind of at the top and go around. So the first thing I've got is my font. So I really want to finish my first font this summer, which I'm part of the way through Illustrator, which means the next step after that is glyphs, and then after that is doing like marketing, so like hero images and that kind of stuff. Then I'd like to start my second font, hopefully by the end of the summer, which means starting it in Illustrator, and work on a portfolio. So when I want to apply for some online sellers, I have something that I can show for my work, essentially. The next thing is to work on Korea. So I need to finish saving money. I think by September, I should be pretty close to having everything saved up that I want to for this trip, which is good because I'm going in October. I need to really buckle down and do research, so on places I can get like gluten-free food, stationery, things I want to do. I also want to keep studying Korean, so I want to finish level 3 and work on level 4 and find a conversation partner. So that, and then next up is work. So I just label it JP2, it's the acronym for my school. So I want to set up my teacher bujo. I want to organize my papers, digitize them, and then organize my files. I want to work on my lesson planning. So I want to set up syllabi for all of my classes. I want to get Flipgrid bonus assignments set up for all of my classes, and I want to prep the first 2 units for all of my classes. This, I think, is a pretty big project. If I can do more, that would be amazing, but I feel like this would put me on pretty good footing for September, for when the start of school happens. Then I also want to do specimen day, which is just going through manuals that we've been sent and picking out the documents we want to keep. The other big thing I have is sewing. So I want to look into buying fabric online. So I want to actually save up money and put in an order to do that. And as part of that, I want to plan 3 big projects. So I want to buy the patterns if I need to buy them. I want to buy the fabrics, perhaps online if I need to do that. And I want to work on a wardrobe inventory, and I'm thinking I might do a visual inventory of the things that I have personally sewn and potentially do a blog post about that. And then I do have a little offshoot over here for my 3 big projects, 1, 2, and 3. I definitely want to make a pair of pants, but I'm not entirely sure what the other 2 big projects are going to be. I have a couple things floating around in my head, but I'm not sure which ones I want to do first. Next is, oops. Actually, let's go up here. This is the last of my top 5. So save 7,000 euros. I'm actually pretty close to doing that, but I want to keep saving since I have hit my goal early. I want to just kind of keep going and see how much I can save. I want to email my bank guy and possibly open an extra like savings account and look into this thing where I can pay into retirement on top of what my job already gives me. So something to look into. And then the last thing on here is other. So this is just like random things that don't really go anywhere else. So I want to study Italian. I want to sort, scan, and check personal papers. My goal is to really get my bookshelf under control this summer. I want to work on some crafting. So I'd like to make some notebooks because it's been a while. I want to catch up on Happy Mail. Always. I did catch up for a while, but I have a couple left I have to still deal with. And I also need to make an appointment with the prefecture to renew my visa in September. And I want to research residency requirements on top of that. So that's kind of what my mind map looks like. There you go, get the whole view of it. And then from there, I did go ahead and fill in my goals roadmap. Not entirely, but I did get a pretty good portion of it filled in. So I did sort of prioritize these, but not exactly. So the first 3 are prioritized, and the 4th one I just need to do, and it should have been first, but I didn't think about it first. So I have broken down for work, for font making, for sewing, and for admin stuff. And I've got my purpose for them. So why do I want to do this? I've got my first steps, which a lot of these are going to be similar to things that were in my mind map. and then kind of going more in the future. So for example, for work, I want to set up my bullet journal, set up my grade books, set up the syllabi, and set up the Flipgrid assignments. And then the next step is going to be working on prepping the 2 units fully, and then it's going to be prepping other units after that. Font, to finish my first font in Illustrator, then in Glyphs, then working on marketing stuff, then get it ready to sell and start the second font, etc., etc. So you see I've kind of gotten some things out here. I do have some sewing projects. These aren't necessarily my big 3 sewing projects, but these are things that I've had on my list that I think I might want to do, but that's not set in stone yet. And then admin stuff is honestly just stuff I've been putting off for way too long, and I need to sit down and freaking do it, basically. My projects timeline I have not filled out. I probably won't. Then I've got July, so I have not yet done my little tick marks for where the months are, just because I don't actually have that information in front of me, but this doesn't tend to get super set up in advance anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I did start doing two of my key projects. So 2 of the biggest things that I really want to work on this summer is work stuff and font. And then I have a 3rd one, and I have a feeling it's going to be admin, but I'm kind of waiting until I see. Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting on this one. But these 2 first ones I'm like really focused on trying to get done. So my goal is to make my life easier in September. And so in July, what I would like to do is to outline my entire year for all of my classes, which basically means I think I want to do these 6 or 7 or whatever units in kind of this order. Then I want to prep syllabi for all of my classes, which means having at least a rough idea of what the final task is going to be, and this also gives me kind of an idea what order of units I want to do. I want to prep Flipgrid assignments. I don't know how many I'm going to do, but I would like to have at least 1, hopefully 2 Flipgrid bonus assignments, because I think it's a really good opportunity for the kids to work on speaking in like a really low pressure environment. So I want to get those up and ready to go, just so I don't not do them, because I find I don't have the time to actually get them set up, essentially. Then I need to set up my bullet journal, and I want to set up my grade books. That's kind of what I want to do for July. I do want to start prepping units, but these are kind of the top priority things, and then working on prepping is kind of a priority for a little bit later. I do have August as well. Then for my font, I want to finish my first font ideally by the end of this month. This is kind of a big goal, but if I give myself more of a deadline, I'm hoping I can actually do it. So I need to finish in Illustrator, export to Glyphs, buy Glyphs, because I don't actually have that software yet, and prep in Glyphs. And then I have 1 more left to see kind of like what my next step is going to be, but I need to look at my planning spread for what the next thing is going to be. And like I mentioned, I'm leaving the 3rd one open for right now, just because I do still have some time left in June. I am working on some stuff, and so I want to just see where I'm at once the end of the month hits. So I am still going to be in here for about another week. I did actually pull out this notebook so that I could reference it while I was setting up. But what I am thinking is that, well, so I will move into this quarter 3 notebook at the end of this week, early next week, because it's going to be July 1st on Monday. So I am pretty much ready to go for this. I am going to keep using this end book for a while, but I do have this idea in mind that at some point I would like to, some point soon actually, you know, once I use up these last couple of spreads and get a little bit further, is to update a new end book. And so take out all the things that I have, leave out rather all the collections that I've already finished with, update collections that are still going to be in use, and perhaps revamp some of the ones and then have room to add new ones. But for now, I've still got some pages left in here. This has a lot of collections that I'm still actually working on. So I feel like there's no point really in updating to a new end book when this one is still perfectly functional. So that is my quarter 3 setup. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will keep you guys posted. You guys will see this P-book starting from my next plan with me, which should be my August plan with me. So if you guys have any comments or questions about the Projo, about my use of the Projo and all of that, leave them down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.